document. However, there are indications that the lawmakers may reject the proposed adjustments to the document sent by the executive 2 months ago. The Minister of Finance, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, insists the appropriation bill is difficult to implement without the proposed amendments. In this report, our business correspondent Esther Ubudaga sheds more light on the budget impasse.
It all began in December 2012 when the National Assembly passed a 4.987 trillion naira budget into law. However, the document signed by the lawmakers was quite different from what the presidency had initially sent to them. The 2.41 trillion naira recurrent expenditure had been slashed by 100 billion naira to 2.3 trillion naira, while the capital vote was increased to 1.62 trillion naira from 1.52 trillion naira originally sent by the executive. These changes, among others, sparked weeks of friction between the National Assembly and the presidency, and the document remained unsigned. However, despite their differences and in a bid to bring the tussle to an end, weeks of talks followed, and eventually both sides reached a compromise and agreed on some amendments, while the budget as passed by the National Assembly was signed into law on February 26 this year by President Goodluck Jonathan. In March, the presidency forwarded a supplementary budget totaling 273.5 billion naira to the lawmakers for consideration. 2 months later, the National Assembly is yet to deliberate on that document, and they claim the document is still very similar to the one initially sent by the executive in 2012.
The curious thing is that the amendment came like a fresh budget. I must tell you, it came on volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3. So it means that the job that we have done for the first time before Christmas, we passed the budget. We're going to look at it, and I'm sure that we strongly believe that some of these issues, without being judgmental, are issues that have already been taken care of in the budgets, and it might go back as it came.
This development has unnerved the executive, and according to the Minister of Finance, the current budget, as passed by the National Assembly, is simply not implementable in its current form.
The 2013 budget appropriation bill that was passed by the National Assembly, when the details came back to the executive and we went through, we found that there had been shifting of monies in the budget from one category to the other. Would make the budget very difficult for the MDAs to implement. It appears that many members of the National Assembly are not really aware of the true facts of the situation. So I do not understand how the executive can have said to have sent back something, a new budget, or, the executive can be blamed.
The National Assembly has agreed to thoroughly address the issue on Tuesday, May the 14th, when members gather to consider the bill on the amended budget. As the tussle drags on, economists and indeed the entire country are hoping that both parties can quickly settle their differences and continue with the business of making life better for the average Nigerian. Esther Ubudaga, Channels Television News.